Hey, everybody ready?
Yes.
Hey, good evening, everyone. On this sunny, warm, slightly breezy Oregon day at the coast, I'd like to welcome you to the November 5th regular session of the City Council. And at 6 o'clock, I will call this meeting to order. I learned not to do that so loud now that people in the front row go pop. So, okay. So as we always do, we've got a good agenda tonight. We're covering a lot of ground and some really different perspectives, and we're here as we always are to do the city's business. So I'm very glad that all of you made it here through the various storms. Hopefully nobody has any tree issues, the internet outages or outage, the possible power outage, the flickering, whatever it's been. Thanks for showing up in person. As I said, in the last few meetings, all the council really appreciates that. We always appreciate everyone who pays attention. So if you're watching a recording later, if you are watching on the, maybe not internet where you are, but possibly if you're an RTI subscriber, there I said it. We're glad you're here. But for those of here sitting at this table, every month when we do our meetings, it really helps a lot to see people, and it's a great reminder of who we're here to serve tonight. I want to note a couple things for logistics. We have Councilor and Council President Kozlowski participating via phone tonight, so Zoom is not possible. So Linda, I just wanted you to check and see and make sure that you are unmuted, but you might just want to say hello before you do that.
I think I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you now. That's great. Okay, so now mute.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay.
In case the cats go crazy or something like that. So because we can't see you, Nancy is going to keep an eye out on the screen and will let us know if you want to speak at any point. And when that happens, again, you can't raise your hand, you're on the phone. What you do is unmute yourself, and then Nancy will keep an eye out so we make sure we know you have a comment. Okay?
That's
That'd be
perfect.
true
Thanks,
also
Catherine.
for any, great, thank you. That'd also be true for anyone who might be phoning in who doesn't normally phone in because they've got an internet issue. So we will deal with that as we can. We want to make sure everybody gets heard and everybody's able to listen. So we are going to, any other logistics things I need to point out tonight? We good? Okay. So the first thing we'll do is ask to see if we have audience participation. That can be done live or through an online method. So Nancy, do we have anybody here?
Nobody has signed up.
Okay. So
And I do have Celeste who just raised her hand.
great.
All right. Celeste, you will have 3 minutes.
So Celeste, welcome. If you could just say who you are and what you intend to speak about, and then about 3 minutes to say what you want to say.
Great. Thank you, Council. My name is Celeste Devaney, and I'm pastor at Nehalem Bay United Methodist Church. The church is home to a not-for-profit named Nehalem Bay Community Services, or NBCS. And this evening, I'm speaking to you on behalf of NBCS, the North County Food Bank in Wheeler, and many local businesses and not-for-profits. I'm also going to be speaking briefly directly about food insecurity in our area of North Tillamook County and the coordinated response to this crisis caused by the ending, we hope only temporarily, of SNAP benefits. Now, friends, according to Julia Wetzel, Regional Director of Tillamook County Services in the Oregon Food Bank, SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps, is government support that helps low-income families buy food. In Tillamook County, that means about 1 in 6 residents and 1 in 4 children rely upon SNAP, which ended on Halloween. This is above the national average, but this is where we are at. Both the North County Food Bank in Wheeler and the pantry in the church basement in Nehalem saw an upsurge of an average about 40% in food requests last week as families prepared for the ending of SNAP. Some days it was over 100%. Both pantries are currently able to keep up with demand, but that has meant already buying a lot of extra food from Walmart and Costco and elsewhere to supplement what we're able to get from the Oregon Food Bank and private donations. And though our governor has released extra funds to assist the Oregon Food Bank, no one anticipates that this will be enough to adequately keep up with demands if this crisis continues. And so the North County Food Bank and Nehalem Bay Community Services are working with local businesses, other not-for-profits, and everybody in our communities to pull together during this crisis time. Many local businesses already have collection boxes for food in Nehalem, Manzanita, and Wheeler. And in addition, there are donation jars at Manzanita Grocery and Deli by the cash register. Both food pantries have experienced unprecedented support, though, as we both know that our towns share a deep moral responsibility for social justice for all. This has consistently been expressed in support for the food insecure, and we are so grateful. We are still gathering our partners in this endeavor, and will keep the 4 city councils, Manzanita, Nehalem, Rockaway, Beach, and Wheeler, and the public informed as to what our ongoing steps will be. I'll hurry. Please let me also note that we're seeking support for the Senior Lunches program at NBCS, the free small pantries located throughout our towns, and for Animal Haven by the Sea, which is supported right now solely through private donations. Let me just say that on top of all of this, both NBCS and NCFB are dealing with the possibility of an ICE visit. So on top of everything else, we are doing our best to keep our care receivers safe. We've got our hands full, folks. Please feel free to contact me at the church if you have any questions, or you will find contact emails for the North County Food Bank or Nehalem Bay Community Services on our websites. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Celeste, for the comment on behalf of a lot of people working really hard in both of those organizations. And so I really appreciate you coming tonight. I'm really glad you all are going to cover the other city councils, and you're welcome back anytime to continue to give updates to the community. I think it's really important, and obviously you're going to be communicating in a lot of channels with folks. So thanks for all your work, and I appreciate you being with us here tonight.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else?
No one else.
Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. For those of you who are new to this is when we basically approve the minutes for the last 3 sessions we've had, as well as the bills. Rather than tackling them one at a time, we just bundle them all up, and we see if there are any comments that any counselors want to make as we've reviewed the minutes prior to coming tonight. So these will be approval of minutes for the October 8th regular session, the October 15 work session, and the October 21 budget work session. So before I ask for a motion, do any counselors have any comment or question they'd like to make? Okay, so hearing none, could I get a motion for this to be approved?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second?
I'll second that.
Brad, thank you. So first and second, all in favor? Aye.
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 How am I going to get Linda? Thank you. I was just, how am I going to get Linda's vote? Thank you, Linda. Okay, great. So now, as also is customary, we're going to start with a report from the city manager. So Layla, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a few updates, announcements around meetings that are not coming. So our Public Advisory Steering Committee meeting has been moved to Wednesday, the 12th at 10:30 a.m. Tuesday, the 11th is Veterans Day. So thank you to all of our veterans, and city offices will be closed. So we've moved that meeting over to that date. The short-term rental committee meeting will be held on November 20th at 10 a.m. That's just a kind of an update. No real business happening there other than just kind of reconnecting and giving folks an update on where we are with that process. The tree lighting, I'm just keep mentioning this until it happens, but the tree lighting is December 5th from 4 to 6 p.m. Our Public Works Director, Rick Remper, who is here tonight, as well as Russell Rancier, have been working hard to get that all organized. So I expect to see every one of you there. That'll be 4 to 6 p.m. December 5th. The Planning Commission hearing on the land division ordinance amendments will be held November 10th at 4 p.m. in this room. You can also attend virtually. And the amendments with respect to both land division and the housing ordinance amendments are in review with the Department of Land Conservation and Development and are currently with the city attorney. And we're expecting to get back final comments mid-month and be prepared for what we anticipate to be the first public hearing for city council in December to be the first reading of the housing ordinance amendments. And then we anticipate again, January being the first reading of the land division amendments. So those are still on track. Happy to hear that. And then just a quick update that we received about 40+ responses to the survey for goals 17 and 18, which was great. Got a lot of really good feedback on that. So the PASC will be getting an update on that next week, and we'll be providing some more information on that. And then we're now moving to goals 5 and 6.
Could you remind people what 17 and 18 are?
Oh, pardon me. Yes, that's ocean, shores, and beaches and dunes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Layla. Any questions?
No.
All right. So I would like to welcome, we'll get 2 items of old business, only because we've talked about them before. So Nan Devlin, I'd like to invite Nan up to the mic. She's the executive director of Tillamook Coast Visitors Association, and she is here to talk about our off-season tourism grants and sponsorships. Thank you, Nan. Thank you for joining us in person tonight for this. Appreciate it.
Yes, and I'd like to start first with the grants from this last fiscal year. The grants from the last fiscal year, and I called all the outstanding grantees, talked to them, and everything will be wrapped up probably by the end of November. In fact, someone wrapped up today with me. So there's only about $5,050 left in grant funds that will be going and paid out probably by the middle of December. So if that would wrap up. So over the last couple of years that I've been managing these grants, it's $20,000, $2,000 available. Unfortunately, we've only granted out about $14,000 each time. And I've been talking with the city manager, Layla, about what we might do. And I know this came up last time that I talked about grants here, and that is, can we use some of that money for sponsorships for events during the off season? So we talked a little bit more about that, and we thought, okay, we've got another $20,000 this year. What if we did $10,000 at $2,000 per grant available so half would go towards grants and the other half could go towards sponsorships. And we could even get those sponsorships out quickly. In case there were some events in the Christmas, New Year's, early, February, whatever, that could go out and help. But they would have a year to do that. So if it was an off-season event, like for instance, TCVA gave a sponsorship grant to the new Manzanita Film Festival, and that was a pretty successful event. They might want to apply for this time. My suggestion really is to do one thing. So as probably you all know that I am leaving my position in February 28th. There is a possibility that I would contract to do grant management and other things like wayfinding. That's not for certain. And the person that I was training on our grant program has left TCVA. So it's a very complicated grant program. You have to go through 3 months of training. It's a national software called Foundant And they're very strict about people, you just can't go on and be an admin. You have to go through the training, and there isn't really anybody on the TCBA team who wants to do this. So I'm not sure where we're going to go. So with that, so I would suggest that we take these back to the fillable PDF grant forms. They don't go into that grant program. They can be easily filled in. It's a fillable PDF, and that either someone at the city or a contractor manage that for you. It's very simple. Everything is kept in files rather than online. And we are finding that people who haven't really had a grant before or don't know how to do grants, that Found Out program is difficult for them. You have to spend a lot of time helping them get through all how to do this, how to implement, how to upload, how to submit for reimbursement, things like that. So I would suggest that we do take it offline, do a fillable PDF and I have those forms already. I also have a sponsorship form that I adapted from TCVA's sponsorship form. So it should be pretty easy. And if we do this soon, I already have a flyer ready which I would distribute to all the businesses and nonprofits, and they can start applying very soon if you can.
Questions for Nan?
I would just add that Nan and I have had a couple of conversations about this, and I think the idea of allowing for sponsorships, that's actually something that you talked about as a body as being something you would want to see as well. Since the last couple of years, we actually haven't been able to fully allocate the resources. So I liked that change, and I would agree that maybe switching to a fillable PDF format while we're in a space of uncertainty would be probably the most efficient approach to it. So I just want to concur with what Dan suggested, and that's what I think we're both recommending.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I have one question. You had mentioned taking the 20,000 and splitting it half and half.
Yeah.
For grants and sponsorships. Is there enough flexibility if we got 12 grant requests and 8 sponsorships to do that, or do we need to do a clean line and say half and half?
I would say remain open, because if you get 7 applications for grants and they're really worth funding, and maybe not everyone's going to ask for the full 2,000 as well. An event might only need $1,000. So you can ask up to 2,000 for either a sponsorship or a grant.
Or sort of a limit there is the 10 or the 20,000, and we can be flexible if it's a grant or sponsorship in the amounts.
Yeah.
We have 20,000. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
We'll ultimately approve that. So we'll receive all the grant sponsorship applications and then make a recommendation. And so you'll have a chance at that time to say, yeah, we do that. Yeah. But we wanted to set a framework to that. Some of it will likely we would like to see some of it go to sponsorships as well as grants.
Okay, sounds good.
I think you can be really flexible on it.
I'm just a little unclear about how you differentiate a grant and a sponsorship.
Sponsorships are usually just for a particular event on a particular day. And grants are for a program marketing usually. And that marketing campaign can go for a year, or it can go for a season or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And also a grant can be used for building a website or some sort of online campaign or things like that.
It'd be interesting to see. It's always good to try something else and then you see what the result is. So if the barrier was there with the online process, then we'll find it out. And there's no reason we can't do it the other way, at least for now. So yeah.
Because you made $20,000 available, it'd be really nice to get that all 20,000 out.
Yes, that's the goal. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And thank you. Thanks very much. We'll just trust you'll stay in touch with us and with Layla about what you might be doing and how that affects us. And there'll be handoff things for some of the work that you and your folks do with change leadership. So thank you very much. And thanks you know, I don't know if I'll get a chance other than today, so we'll just say I want to thank you for your service to the broader community. It's been selfless and consistent and really remarkable for many, many years. So thanks so much for everything.
And if I can,
Well, thank you.
just one quick announcement.
Sure.
Very fortunate to say that Nan has decided to join the board of directors at the EPCMD. I'm thrilled and am happy to be continuing to work with you in that capacity. So
Yeah, I'm really proud to do that. And thank you. It's been a real honor. I've been in this job for 11 years and it's a real honor to serve the communities that we do. So,
Thanks very much.
thank you.
We should have a thanks. Okay, we are now going to talk about Envision Manzanita and the 2045 vision adoption. So we've got Linda Kestner, who chairs the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Steering Committee, and also Mark Adamson, who serves on that committee. So you could begin with stating what you're here to do, and then we'll just start to do it. Yeah, thanks, Linda.
Thank you. I'm Linda Kestner. I am one of 6 resident community members who serves on the Public Advisory Steering Committee. We are your representatives into the comprehensive plan update process. And our role has been to do outreach with the community and to get your feedback and input into this process as we're working forward. And we are here tonight to do a final presentation of the community's vision statement that was put together, which is really going to be our guiding principle for the comprehensive plan work that's coming up in the next year. As I said, we are your representatives and we always ask for you to seek us out if you have things to say. I'm Linda. We also have Rick Jackson, Patrick Johnston, Brian Sint, John Ryman, and my colleague, Mark Adamson. Take it from here.
Thank you, Linda. So a bit of background on the vision statement itself. It's the result of a long process that started in 2022 with Envision Manzanita, which involved a few community summits. That community feedback was collected and preserved so that this committee could incorporate it into this version of the comprehensive plan. The draft instrument was presented to the city council in the September meeting, and that also incorporated a year's worth of additional feedback gathering with committee members, holding interviews with stakeholders throughout the community. And we also had a survey after the draft was submitted to city council that collected over 160 additional responses. That feedback was incorporated either with annotations in the vision statement document, and it will also serve as additional guiding color and detail to help us as we work on the more, say, technical parts of the comprehensive plan and each of the goals. So the version that we're submitting today is aspirational. It's written basically as a 20-year time horizon, a set of statements that describe where the community hopes Manzanita will be in 2045. And so we'll take this opportunity to read the final draft of the vision statement into the record. So by 2045, the city of Manzanita has strong community support. Manzanita fosters a vibrant, inclusive community where every voice can be heard. Through transparent and active collaboration, we aim to create a city where individuals of all backgrounds, identities, and perspectives can contribute to shaping the future. We are committed to cultivating community involvement by ensuring that civic activities are accessible, equitable, and driven by mutual respect and shared progress to build a more connected and welcoming community.
The next statement is housing for all. Manzanita offers a diverse range of housing options for all residents. Whether a cozy apartment, a single-family home, or a spacious townhome, Manzanita includes choices that accommodate various lifestyles and needs. Our diverse housing options cater to the unique needs and preferences at each stage of life, creating a mixture of options that reflects the richness of our community.
We'll also have natural environment and recreation. Our identity as a coastal gem is deeply rooted in the stunning natural environment where vibrant city life harmonizes with the beauty of nature. Manzanita celebrates our pristine beaches and breathtaking outdoor spaces that define us. The spirit of the coast meets the warmth of a close-knit community with endless opportunities. Our commitment to clean, well-maintained spaces reflects our dedication to environmental sustainability and a high quality of life. Manzanita is more than a place, it's a lifestyle, reflected in a thriving community that works for a brighter tomorrow. Our community will foster easy access to the coast while actively preserving our natural areas, dunes, and green spaces, assuring that the beauty of Manzanita's landscapes are maintained for future generations. Nearby state parks and recreational centers provide a continuation of fun and scenic possibilities.
Vibrant economy. Manzanita thrives as a tourism economy, celebrating its economic vitality that is combined with a small town atmosphere. Downtown Manzanita along Highway 101 and Lanita Avenue honors its history and community ties. Small businesses comprise the economic core of restaurants, retail, realtors, and grocery stores, so that locals and visitors can find all that they need within the city. Local businesses flourish, offering job opportunities and contributing to economic resilience.
Small town feel and diverse neighborhoods. The city of Manzanita fosters a sense of inclusion where families, young professionals, and retirees can all find a place to call home. While each neighborhood has its own character, all strive to protect the local tree canopy and provide access to the natural environment. There is a strong sense of community stewardship as full-time residents, second homeowners, short-term renters, and day trippers all intermingle in Manzanita's neighborhoods. Our city provides more than just housing. It is a welcoming, diverse community where everyone can thrive.
And finally, transportation options. Manzanita is a walkable community that encourages exploration and connection. Residents and visitors can access outdoor spaces and nature easily through multiple modes of transportation. Pedestrian and bicycling opportunities are prioritized by creating safe streets, trails, and walkways. Parking and accessibility options are carefully planned throughout the city. Manzanita's investments in transportation reflect these aspirations. The city's core offers a lively hub that blends seamlessly with the town's quiet residential streets. This sense of accessibility extends beyond leisure, with quality transportation options ensuring convenient commutes and strong connectivity between Manzanita and neighboring communities. So we're here tonight because we want to convey to council that we, as the PASC, are confident that this vision statement represents what the community's been expressing over the last several years and what they would like to see Manzanita strive to be. And we're asking council to adopt this. And again, so we'll have this guiding star for us to use as we are doing our work in the year ahead. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. So we have a resolution before the council to adopt this, and there is some background in it, which just reminds us that this is part of the comprehensive plan. I think many of the people here are aware of that planning process. If you're not, feel free to stay after the meeting and you can chat with Linda or Mark. It wouldn't be unusual that we haven't reached every single soul around here. So if you're hearing about this for the first time in particular, we'd love for you to come and connect with the two of them and see if we can figure out how to get you up to speed on that work, as it's really important for the community. I would like to ask council first if there are questions or comments for around this, actually, not just for the two people presenting, but around the resolution and the vision.
So my comments are about, as you say, it's a very aspirational statement, and I think there's very little in it that I would disagree with, reminding myself as I listen to it that it is aspirational. So what's critical for all of us, and certainly for the council, is to make sure we continually check in on the plan as the years progress to make sure we're actually being true to the vision. And Leila, I don't know if we've talked about this before. I apologize, I've forgotten. But is there anticipated to be a ongoing role for this committee after the plan is? I know we're not close to having a final comp plan revision yet, but once the plan is revised, these folks will have really established good connections around the community, plenty of familiarity with the context of the plan. And it would just seem like there might be a role for them on an ongoing basis, even if it's just to be the prod to continually tell us, pay attention to this or stay on top of this. And if we haven't gotten there yet, we don't have to talk about it tonight, but I just want to get some thinking on that started, because I think it's real easy to put a lot of effort into a plan and then put it on a shelf and not look at it until the 20 years have passed.
Right.
So anyway, that would be a conversation for another day, I'm sure, but you may have already anticipated a role for that.
Sure. So the committee was initially and has been set up as an ad hoc committee. So their role does effectively end once the plan is adopted. One of the things that I think what you're getting at is that there's a citizen involvement committee, and that's part of goal 1. That's a requirement. The planning commission plays that role. So my hope is we do these ad hoc committees. Selfishly, I see these as beginning points for folks to maybe think about serving in another capacity, perhaps on our planning commission. But I would say that would be something that both the city manager and the planning commission would look at on an annual, would be my recommendation, to kind of an annual check-in on an ongoing basis, the comprehensive plan. And so that's what I anticipate seeing have happen here. In past comp plans, when we moved into the implementation phase, so when I was in Milwaukee, we had a CPAC, which is our Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, that moved into becoming, and it was a different group of folks. There were some folks that actually carried over, but it got into the technical expertise side of things to become the CPIC, which was the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee. And so there was a different skill set required for that. I think there's a lot of transferability, certainly from this group in particular. So I could see there's potential for that to transition into something else. But the path as it is now will come to a close. But I could see that there's potential for an implementation advisory group at some point, that if that makes sense, that I think we've built a lot of really great capacity. It's been wonderful to watch this group grow. It's unusual to have the committee be the ones to bring this forward for adoption. And so I think that reflects the level of understanding and capability we have here. So yeah, I could see a transition, but this will sunset into a new day and from there.
I think it's a good reminder, though, about governance. So once this plan is adopted, it's the city's work to plan and prioritize, create projects, one of which we're going to talk about shortly, but create projects and then do the things that get us from where we are now to some of the aspirational statements, which I don't know how you guys think, but I'm like, okay, 20 years from now, I'll be 86 years old, and what will be different on my block? And so there's a lot, right? There's a lot to be done. And that'll be done gradually by council year over year. So I would say another important element in this will be how future council members, how future representatives for the city take this as part of their work. And if I was looking for people running for office and thinking about the next round of things or the round after that, I'd be thinking as a citizen, how is that person equipped to take this and help the city do it and not the fastest way. It will never be the fastest way. I can tell you that right now, but how we can go methodically and work on and find the funds to invest in the things that we want to aspire to for the city. So I think it's a great point, and it's going to rest with council and and with help as needed. So yeah. So any comments about the vision statement from council, or anything you want clarified? Or, I mean, we've been through this one quite a bit, so as we always, Tom?
Two things so after each of the statements that you read in the materials that we received, we've got some material in italics that are kind of exemplary of that, that statement. Those don't become a part of the vision, I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay. And then, in your paragraph about the vibrant economy, the specific examples of the small businesses that we're talking about are the types of businesses that currently exist in the city without any was there ever any talk about what kinds of businesses might flourish that aren't listed here in the next 20 years? I know you, Mark, for instance, work from home, and it's not in a grocery store or a restaurant. So what about, the vision for businesses like that, people that work from home?
I think I think that part of the statement is not meant to be a fully inclusive list. And I think we certainly haven't gotten to the point of economic development as a goal yet discussion. So I think there's still a lot of discussion to be had. But again, I think it's in this situation that is reflecting much of what's visible about our economy right now. But certainly isn't all of it, and we don't expect it to be.
So need to add to it. We're getting to the economic development chapter, and those policies will be discussed more thoroughly. So I think I need to be here. You did a great job.
Yeah, and then the committee will be looking specifically, because they've already been working with retailers, businesses that are visible in the community. And I think the outreach then will be really fun and interesting because you'll be reaching out, and we'll be together trying to figure out how to get all the voices of our current businesses in here, as well as some people who, are working from home and may not be as visible as a business, but are doing some interesting things in the community. And we can get people pulled together to see what that looks like now and start to get their input for what the future looks like. And I think that's going to be a really interesting discussion. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Can I just invite, is there any public comment on this before we go further with council? Does anybody have anything they want to say? Okay, then I'm going to ask for a motion from the counselor for this one, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution by reading the title. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Manzanita, Oregon, adopting the City of Manzanita community vision as part of the comprehensive plan update process.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Linda.
There we go.
Perfect. So passes unanimously.
So this is a really big deal.
This is a very big deal. So surveys, farmers markets, walking around town, listening to people, jotting things on note cards.
Meetings.
A lot of investment has gone into this. And I think the committee has really been exemplary, because we're not finished yet. This isn't your thank you at the end talk by any means.
We just go.
Right, but people jumped in, and it was really good spirit, because people jumped in not having done this work before. We all say, well, I'll just go try it, and basically it was people who'd never done a comprehensive plan before, and they said, I'm going to give it a go. It really matters to me to help my community, and I can work this way. So the folks who've done it have adjusted and learned, and we've all kind of learned together, and it's been a real pleasure working with you all. So thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Q.
Okay, so it's a perfect segue, to talk about a current project to help make the city better and make life better in a number of ways. So we're going to go to new business now. I apologize if I'm having a little frog in my throat. We're going to talk about the Classic Street connection. So Layla's going to lead on this, and then we will have discussion. There will be time for community input, questions or comments as well, and we'll get to that point. I'll be clear about that, and then anybody who wants to add in is welcome. Okay, so Layla, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, and I'll start by saying, Rick, remember our Public Works Director is going to be doing a overview of a lot of projects. So I'll talk a little bit more on the specifics of the project, but the action tonight I'm asking for is a resolution. But before I get to that, I did want to take a moment to address some of the questions that have been circulating about the Classic Street connection project since our last meeting. I think it's important. And that's specifically with respect to lane width and our authority to make some adjustments there. I want to talk about the intent and purpose of the resolution that's for you today. And then I think finally the claims that the city has somehow misrepresented this information to the state. So I want to make sure we cover all that in the spirit of openness and transparency. I think it's really important that we're clear and that we're factual and transparent. And so I'm happy to elaborate on the city's decision to this and how we believe that we are in compliance with our existing ordinances. So that's okay with you. I'll go through that. So first issue relates to the lane ordinances and the lane width in ordinance 91-2. So first on the question of whether or not Classic Street for that 10, there's a segment of Classic Street, 36% of the total project will be about 10 feet. And then the rest of it will meet the 22-foot lane width. And do we believe that that complies with the language of the ordinance? And that I do. I believe firmly that it does fall within that. The ordinance 91-2 establishes general widths for street classifications. It does not set mandatory minimums. It intentionally uses the language general widths, and that is to allow engineering judgment and context sensitive design. And so that was applied in this case. I believe if the intent had been to create a hard minimum standard, it would have been written as a hard minimum standard, and it was not drafted that way. It says in general, 22 feet on a collector. So for Classic Street, we have applied the ordinance consistent with its language and its purpose, and believe strongly it's in alignment with industry guidance and safety research and the site conditions. So the design reflects engineering review and professional judgment. So it wasn't just me making the call. I was working with professionals on this. We looked very in depth at this. We went through a number of different iterations of this, and that was our professional interpretation. It's within a constrained site with really steep topography and a number of different issues that constrain that, cost also being a major issue for us. It's a low speed street. It's a 20-mile-an-hour street now. It will be a traffic calmed environment. There are at least 4 planned speed bumps, radar signs, striping, and so forth that will be added there, which will reduce the speed on that street significantly. And we've added a separated pedestrian pathway, as you well know, for that safety. And then fiscal responsibility was also a factor that played into this. Currently, you have 20 feet of paved surface where people, dogs, bikes, cars, trucks, RVs all interact with each other now. So what we're proposing is an extreme improvement upon that and meets the financial goals and the resources that we have. I think I do want to be very clear, and this was asked specifically of me by Councilor Campbell, is that 10-foot lanes are not unusual, unsafe, or untested. And in fact, they're widely recognized as appropriate on low speed, low volume streets where topography and context warrant it. And in this case, it does. Just for information, Lunita Avenue, which is our only major collector here is Division to the west is 10 foot lanes. Furthermore, this is not simply a local interpretation, it's consistent with national and Oregon practice. And so what staff based their decision on was that we are generally meeting, this is a kind of a spirit of the law versus the letter of the law kind of situation, and we believe we are meeting that obligation. And just to give you some examples, AASHTO, which is the American Association of State and Highway and Transportation Officials, their design manuals, 10-foot lanes are allowed on constrained low-speed streets with speeds lower than 35 miles per hour. The Federal Highway Administration Road Guide recommends 10 to 12-foot lanes as typical, and 10-foot lanes are appropriate for speeds under 25 miles an hour. The Federal Highway FHWA, the Federal Highway Administration Speed Management Manual, narrow lanes reduce speeds and support safety in urban context. And NACTO, which is the National Association of City and Transportation Officials, find that 10-foot lanes are suitable and common in urban environments, and this is an urban environment. Oregon examples, Astoria, Cannon Beach, Hood River, all have 10-foot travel lanes in constrained areas and include collectors. And specifically, the Nehalem Bay Transportation System Plan, page 30, figure 7, shows a 10-foot travel lane even for a major collector when parking sidewalks are needed alongside the travel lane. So this is a version of that. We tried to work within the constraints that we had, follow the guidelines that we had, make sure that we were meeting the intent of the ordinance. And I think ultimately, the design is safe, it is professionally reviewed, and it is fiscally responsible. I believe it meets the intent of the ordinance. It's not just a number in a table, and it delivers the public the benefit with a safe connection, with pedestrian access. It's within the budget, and it's within our topographical constraints. And so I wanted folks to understand that like a lot of thought, heart, effort, and professional judgment, not just my own, went into this. And our city engineer helped us throughout this process. So I believe it was thoroughly vetted. And I've also done some outreach to outside parties who have confirmed that, and then did some additional research to provide some factual basis for a selection of a 10-foot lane, not really being supportive of the goals that were set for that road. So the intent of the resolution really is, I think there's also been a misunderstanding of the purpose and characterization of that. It does not override the ordinance. That's not what we're doing here. And it does not legalize something that is non-compliant. The purpose really is transparency and its governance and consistency, because the city itself is proposing this alternative design. Staff, as a result of this, we wish to be transparent and clarify that the city is not requesting a special exemption. We're treating itself similarly as we would any other developer. A resolution, and that's why I'm recommending this, would memorialize that transparency and clarify that while typically collectors have 2 11-foot travel lanes, a design adjustment is appropriate for the classic street connection project. It meets the intent of the ordinance. And this just simply ensures that the record clearly reflects our interpretation and our commitment to applying the same rules to ourselves that we would apply to others. And so that's why we're asking council to pass this ordinance, not to override 91.2. We believe the design that we have put forward, for the reasons I've expressed, meets the intent and of that ordinance. Finally, I just want to close by saying that there have been some comments made about public comments and statements, correspondence sent to the state alleging that the city has misrepresented this project to obtain grant funds. And it's very important to me that this council is represented accurately and that the work that we do is represented accurately. And so I want to make very clear that that claim that we have misrepresented ourselves is false. We have accurately described the need and purpose of this project to the state. We did not, nor were we required to present final engineering cross sections at the grant stage. The state has full visibility into our design. I am constantly in contact with them. They have our plans, our contracts, our engineering documents, and we're very closely connected with them. And it's very important to me. These are the same folks we worked with our special public works fund. And so we know how to work together. We know how to make sure we're communicating, and I have done that. Adjustments during detailed designs, as I've said this before, are expected and they're allowed, provided that safety and project goals are met. And we believe strongly that the design that we have landed on achieves that. So the sort of this allegation that we misled the state is just simply unfounded. It's been corrected directly with our agency partners in the interest of transparency. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that's helpful information for folks to understand kind of where we're coming from. I'm always happy to help clarify things when people don't understand it. I think that's the best way for people to come together, is to ask the questions, and we will give you the honest answers. So you have options tonight, but council is, I'm recommending to council that you adopt the resolutions, the resolution for the reasons I've stated. I think clarity, consistency, and transparency. I think it affirms publicly and on the record that the city is treating itself like any other applicant, that we are applying the ordinance faithfully and we're applying it responsibly. This design is safe, it is strategic, it is grounded in national and state guidelines. It delivers a long needed connection, improves safety, it protects pedestrians, cyclists, it fits the site, and it respects public dollars. So I believe strongly, as always, that we have acted with integrity, transparency, and professional judgment throughout this process. And I just want to thank our partners, my staff, the community members that have stepped forward and asked these questions and challenged us, as well as the council for their continued faith in staff and putting forward projects that meet and exceed the goals that we have set for ourselves. So with that, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to further explain that. I'd be happy to take any questions and engage in a discussion with you about this resolution, but our recommendation is that you so adopt.
Well, let's do this in a couple of parts. So first, I'd like to see if there are comments or questions from council. Then I'm going to ask for people who are present or present in a non-physical way. There you are out there. If they have questions or comments too, and then we'll come back to council and we will see if there's anything else we need to discuss at all, and then we'll decide what to do with the resolution. Okay. So let's just go kind of one into the other. Brad.
Thank you for clarifying that this was only specific to this project, that there was no intent to change any of the general guidelines in 91-2, because that was one of my questions that you clarified when we were speaking. Another point is just to confirm, as we've been working with Nan on wayfinding and signage, I believe one of the things that we've requested, because some concerns I heard were the large vehicles that are currently going on that street back and forth to the state park, that we're going to do our best to say, go up the 101, don't come through here. So that's part of that project. And as I recall, when we approved the amendment to the contracts with Advanced Excavations, we talked about this, and that was part of that approval as well.
It was, yes. And in light of the this issue, I do want to note that we did execute that change order with Advanced. Rick will talk a little bit more about it, but they're underway. But what we did do is we separated out the scope that is specific to the to the 10-foot lanes to make sure that everyone was comfortable before we proceeded on that. And so we were very thoughtful about the execution of that change order, again, to just be mindful and ensure that we're all on the same page here. So that's been addressed in the contract.
And one other thing, that allegation that we did something wrong to the state and with those funds was responded to from Visit Work. And they said, City of Madison is responsible for determining the scope and implementation of the project. So they are in agreement that we are within our rights to do this with that.
Correct. Yes.
Anything else?
Not for now.
Okay, thanks. We'll come back. Jerry?
Yeah, so thank you, Leila, for your report on this. I just want to make sure the community understands that with regard to the suggestion that we would be in violation of our own ordinance, you did obviously engage the city attorney's office.
I did, yes, yes, yeah, yeah. And there's, it says generally. And so that's what we're using as our way. And I think in my experience, when things are written that way, it is because there's oftentimes something unique comes up and we need a little bit of administrative flexibility as long as we're still achieving what the safety and goal and intent of that is. I feel that we have delivered on that and we are in general meeting that 22-foot length.
So
I always consult with the city attorney.
36% of the project that'll be 10 feet, 20 actually, that's consecutive.
Correct, yes.
And was Rick going to talk about specifically where that is on the?
He is not. It is on the plans, but it's roughly speaking, I think it's between like Jackson Way and Highlands. It's where that area just sort of pinches together.
Okay.
That's the place. That's the only place that we did it. Everywhere else we could fit it in, we did.
And so I use that road quite a bit, sometimes on foot. I'd be surprised if it's currently a full 20 feet in all spots, but if it is, that's interesting. But your point is that even at the reduced width level from what is generally stated in the ordinance, we're still making a significant improvement in the road bed, safety wise, and obviously adding the pedestrian access.
Absolutely.
So if there was any misconception that we are sacrificing road width to achieve the walking lane, that's not the case.
No.
We're not making the road more narrow than it currently is, obviously.
Correct. And we're not making it unsafely narrow to accomplish what we're trying to do. We're trying to do it all. The narrowing of the roadway to 10 feet, which is, I think, safe lane width for this kind of street, allows us to accomplish a 6-foot pathway. Reducing the pathway to 4 feet, which we can do and meet the 10-foot and 11-foot, requirement if we interpret it strictly, is not as safe because a 4-foot width doesn't really allow two people to walk side by side. And so that was one of the many things that we talked about as a team, as a trade-off. And our interpretation is, and again, I'm going to say it, is I believe that we are in compliance with 91-2 because we do generally meet that 22-foot requirement for the length of it, with the exception of this area where frankly, public benefit is being traded off in safety so that we can accomplish that safety. And I actually had someone, just want to thank them for giving us a visual of the cross section. Would it be helpful for folks to see what that would look like? And it shows what it would look like with an SUV and an RV passing each other. It was really cool. So I got to at least show it. Sure. So this is roughly what it looks like. What you have up here is essentially like two Subarus. So it's going to change. I mean, let's just be real, right? It's going to look different. You're going to have a hard edge on the west, which is that guardrail. And then on the east, you're going to have a hard edge, which is the curb. But it delineates the space a lot more clearly. You're going to have speed bumps. You're going to have signage. You're going to have paint on the roadway. You're going indicating sharrows. There's going to be radar signs. So the street itself is going to be a lot safer. And then you're going to have a special site, a separated place for pedestrians. So even if you have, say, like an RV here, an SUV, it's tight. It will feel uncomfortable for folks at first. It'll feel different, but it's safe. And over time, I think folks will become more accustomed to it. So it isn't to say there isn't a change. There's a change. It's going to feel very different. but it's accomplishing what the intent and goal of this project was through the transportation system plan, and I believe it is compliant with our ordinance that governs street standards.
And just to orient myself, the left side of that graphic with the guardrail is the west side of the road. And the right side with the blocks is the east side of the road retaining. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, Jerry? Tom?
You guys are stealing all my thunder. I was talking, I mean, you guys, oh, man,
Yeah.
you know,
Me amped up, so here you go.
well, and this was one of the things.
Moderating a meeting, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's, yesterday, you know, I had my meeting prep with Layla and I had a lot of questions and you know, this all started, I read social media every day. And so when I first saw this post, I was like, wow, how did this happen? And I found the ordinance and I was unhappy and I called Layla and, you know, of all the conversations I ever had with her, I mean, this one was probably the most hairy that we've ever had because she doesn't read social media. And so I was coming at her from out of the blue and, you know, maybe caught her a little bit by surprise. And, you know, I was just like, hi. But you know, Jerry just made the point that, of course, because of all of this hubbub, we had to call the city attorney and spend some money with the city attorney's office. And, you know, then this letter to the state agency, you know, I don't know what the purpose of that would have been other than to make us spend more money, or revoke funding. Nothing positive, you know. And of course, knowing who the Scrivener is and some of the aspersions that he's made about that the people of the city demanded this 11-foot lane width when he probably was part and parcel of writing the ordinance and knows that, you know, legally, when you say generally, that's discretionary language. Legally, that's what that means. And it's not the shall, which is directive and mandatory language. And so what the purpose of all this turned out to be, I don't really get it. It prompted me to start doing some internet searches about the effects of ordinances versus resolutions. And of course, ordinances carry the weight of law, whereas resolutions are why you're taking an action, and they kind of create you know, it's weird to say that it creates kind of a legislative history, but that was some of the language that I saw being used as being descriptive of what a resolution does, which is why resolutions have all this preamble language with the whereas and whereas and whereas. So when I started looking at this, I said to myself, you know, there's two issues. And the first one is, can we build a road with 10-foot lanes? And my answer to that turned out to be yes. And then, of course, the bottom line is it's safe? You know, you get all these studies that Layla just gave us. I was, you know, hoping to read those this morning, but the internet wasn't there. So, anyways, and that tells us that, you know, in an engineering sense, it's safe. With the reduced speed at 20, it's safe. With the speed monitoring signs, it's safe. With the speed bumps, with the separated pedestrian pathway, all of it says it's really safe. And so, and then, you know, Brad, you just brought up the idea about, you know, having signs that direct traffic, you know, with larger vehicles in other directions. And on social media, my friend Roger Campana said, hey, you know, maybe we ought to think about restricting the vehicles that are allowed on that road. And I talked to Layla about that yesterday, and she says that's a thought that we've been mulling around. And, you know, so that may be something yet to come as we go for this. So, and then, you know, as I started mulling this over, you know, so we've got a resolution that's been presented to us for adoption today. I'm not sure that, you know, I think it's necessary, to tell you the truth. because we are in compliance with the law. And I don't know why we really need to have a specific statement to explain why we're in compliance with the law. If we do want to adopt it, I did prepare an additional whereas that I would suggest be included that would say, whereas a 10-foot lane of travel is considered safe by engineering standards, especially when other measures are employed, such as reduced speed, electronic speed monitoring signs, and speed bumps, and also permits larger vehicles to pass without use of the shoulder of the roadway. And I just think that, you know, a lot of what we see in this proposed resolution is about why it's legal, and we haven't talked about why it's safe. And I think that that would be an appropriate thing to supplement the
Okay, so let's do this.
resolution.
Yeah,
We're gonna do that. Pardon me?
Is that yours?
That's all I've got to say.
So, thank you. Have a few minutes to think about that as it relates to the resolution, but I would like to turn to anybody here.
And this phone is off. Linda.
Oh, okay. So Linda Kozlowski, go
Oh.
ahead.
Well, I thought I should put my 2 cents in. First of all, I am impressed with the thorough study, with the transparency, with the council's questions and focus to make sure that we're doing the right thing, that it is a safe passage, and that we're not taking concerns from the public lightly. It is a very serious issue, and we're taking it as such. To comment, first of all, I think the council has asked all the questions that I would have had, but I would like to make 2 comments. There is a weight restriction on Classic that was put into effect probably 10 years ago, and I'm sure it's in the record someplace. So there is some kind of weight restriction. I don't remember right now what it was. And I just want to support Brad's thoughts and recommendations regarding larger vehicles going down 101 to get to the park. That would be incredibly helpful, both to save or to extend the life of Classic, but also just to increase the safety and make sure everything is done well. So those are my 2 comments. But again, I really appreciate the transparency, and I am delighted that we took the time that we have to respond to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. So is there anyone here, present here in City Hall, who wants to ask a question or make a comment about any of the discussions so far? So Chip, if you will go to the mic there and introduce yourself to the group and say what you'd like to say.
I actually don't have a comment. I have 2 questions.
You want to say who you are first?
Chip Greening, Manzanita resident. So I wasn't clear about where the 36%, you said the rough portion of the road that's the 36%. That's 10 feet.
You're not clear what?
Just say again.
You said 36% will be
Between Jackson Way and Highlands.
Jackson.
So that's the street. If you go up Dorcas and you go into the cottages and then,
Oh, the one that comes down.
yeah,
Okay,
that's kind of where the road narrows there.
I see. The other thing is an observation. The cross section you showed had an abrupt transition between the traffic lane and the multi-use path. Is it going to be abrupt, or the one we have is not abrupt? It's rolls off into.
It's currently designed as a extruded curb, and that's better for storm drainage. And then it's a separation and it elevates the roadway, the walkway away from the roadway.
Well, my
Is it
observation.
of a shape like this or a shape?
L shape. It's a
Okay.
traditional curb.
It's a hard.
My concern is that as a cyclist, that makes that multi-use path no longer usable. The problem is exactly as you represented. People walk side by side, and they don't get out of the way for cyclists. That requires the cyclist then to drop off that 4-inch barrier, which means that normally a cyclist will say, I'll just skip it, I'll be on the road.
And that's the intent. So it's just, the road is designed to be a share out and it'll be striped as such. And
So it's
so it's
only-
where it actually, a cyclist can take the full lane and ride in traffic.
Okay, so
And
the
stop. for roads on
pedestrian
the
path, not a multi-use path.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Yes. No, and again, the reason for that is so that people at home can hear and people on the recording later can hear. Thank you. You've waved. Introduce yourself, please.
I live in Highland, so this new path will be well used by me, my neighbors, and my family. So I just want to say thank you for all the thoughtful analysis you've done. I was actually questioning the original design or previous iteration, so I like this design. And what I know just from traffic calming, narrower roads actually are a traffic calming measure. So this actually will help people drive slower anyway. So I love the idea of doing signage to keep the big rigs off the road. My question is, when the road narrows in that one section, will that be confusing to people or will it seem seamless?
I think it'll seem seamless. And our city engineer's online here and he can tell me otherwise. But if he stays quiet, I assume that I don't know that folks will even know this necessarily.
Well, it's only a foot on each lane, so it wouldn't seem like that. But
Don't be like, I don't think folks will even.
and then the idea about the bikes using the regular road too, I think that's a great idea as well.
Yeah.
People to use.
Thank you. Nancy, do we have any comments online that you can see either by note, raised hands or unmuted? We have someone else here. Yeah, please come on up. Hi there.
Hi, my name's Sean. I live in the Classic Street neighborhood. My question is, given the development below there, the new Airbnb inn that's being built there is going to be a lot more traffic. I'm concerned that using the multi-use path at night with people coming into town, haven't been part of the community, especially at night. I'm curious as to if there's anything to make that multi-use path safer at night. So I'm thinking about, was there a consideration of bollards or things to delineate the street from the multi-use path so that people at night, you know, I hear the L-shaped curb, but I know that area gets really dark at night. And so were there any considerations for reflective paint, plastic or solid bollards, things to make it so that people don't just hop up onto the multi-use path and we can preserve the safety of people, especially at night?
Yeah, the curb is intended to help with that. We did look at bollards, we looked at a bunch of different things, but I'll take the note about reflective paint under advisement, and that's always something that can be added back in. We have a couple of other thoughts that came up post-design that might be useful add back. So I think that's a great comment. Appreciate it. Yeah, and we did discuss it quite a bit in depth, and we'll see something there.
Thank you. Anyone else here? Yes, please come forward.
My name is Bill Gumpenberger. I live on the corner of Dorcas and Division. Has anything been done? That roadway currently is slipping away on the west side. Is there anything going to be done to stop that slippage? And don't tell me you haven't seen it. All you have to do is drive down there and it's there.
Okay, yeah, so a big part of this project is reconstruction of the road base.
Okay, so then that's gonna take care of that slippage.
It will address some of those issues, yes, for sure.
My other question is what happened to the 15-foot retaining wall on the west side?
That was value engineered out due to cost, complexity, and a number of other factors. And so the alternative value engineered design has moved it to the east.
So basically it was too expensive. And so now we've gone to this where we're narrowing up the lanes.
That's right.
And that's the reason for it is the cost, not safety.
Complexity and a number of other issues, yes.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yes, yes. I've been very clear on that.
And the other thing that I'm curious about is on your drawing, you showed on the west side that, or the roadway, it angled off. Are you
illustrative? Yeah, it's not detailed, but it does angle off and drops down.
I'm not sure exactly where that is, but I don't see how you're going to accomplish that without going into the property where the hotel is scheduled for.
The right of way actually extends about 15 feet off the edge of that property. So our right of way actually extends out 15 feet beyond the edge of road.
You got another 15 feet there.
We do.
It's the 20 feet for the roadway and the 6 feet for the walkway.
Which is courtesy of a 5-foot easement that was given to us by the Classic Street Cottages HOA as well as the Highlands HOA.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please come forward.
My name is Leela Salmon and I live in Manzanita. And I am fully supportive of Councillor Campbell's idea that it would be too much to have a lengthy resolution saying that we are honest. To have a resolution explaining why you're doing what you are legally allowed to do would be answering in a defensive manner the spurious arguments that have been on social media that none of you want to pay attention to. But Councillor Campbell and I read them all the time. And the arguments are faulty to begin with, and to have a lengthy resolution answering them sounds being too defensive.
Thank you. Any further comments? And we're good online?
No, nobody.
Okay, so back to council.
I support Tom's addition whereas to the resolution. And I just wanted to go back to Tom's comment is a resolution is an additional clarification, a descriptor, and a history of what's happened. So I appreciate your comment, Leela, but I think with all the questions we've had from the public, I agree it's legally unnecessary, but I think it's based on that description Tom gave us a good thing to do. I don't have anything else.
Okay, any comments about the amendment, the addition that Tom has proposed?
I certainly support the spirit of the whereas clause that Tom has suggested. It's just, if we had time to incorporate this beforehand, we might have gone ahead and cited some of these engineering standards specifically. Really didn't have that opportunity. I don't know how complicated it would be to get it in there tonight. I mean, on the general issue of whether we need a resolution, no, we do not need a resolution. However, the city manager takes a lot of criticism from some quarters in town for doing stuff without due diligence or kicking the tires and paying attention to a lot of folks that apparently, the critics are just not aware, or the critics think that she sits in her office and just wings it on a regular basis. That's not the case. And it's also not the case that the city council is just blindly led by its nose by the city manager. So the resolution is an attempt to articulate that the city council is on board with this very careful and thoughtful and deliberative process that the city manager has led us through. So I wish it wasn't necessary. I don't think it is necessary, but I also don't think it's a bad idea to just dot the i's and cross the t's and get ready to do it again the next time. But in terms of adding another whereas clause, I don't know, does that slow us down or?
Not if we adopt it now, not if we amend it and just say that is added to it. So no, we don't do that. I was chatting with Tom kind of about council history. In years past, before I was on council, we had some counselors who did that on a fairly regular basis. So that's not been typical for us, but it's not unusual. And there's certainly nothing wrong with it. It's just a practice some people use more than others. So
we did it with the off-leash ordinance because one thing was out of it. So we made a motion to adopt it with the amended language. Yes. Forward.
Yeah, totally. Just not frequent. So it's
We try to dial it ahead of time.
okay. So I found myself going at the idea that perhaps we didn't need to do this at all. And I actually asked myself that question for a minute. But I think it's wise to proceed and do this. And I do support the amendment. I thought tonight, even though some people could look at this and say it's kind of a waste of time, a waste of resources, another chance to take shots. I mean, and I'm not interested in any of that. I'm interested in good public input. And when people don't have an answer to something or they wonder about something, they come kind of in the spirit of, I wonder about this, or have you thought about that? And so just in a couple of comments we had from people who came tonight and asked good questions or made a good observation, I think we gained something from that. And I think we did this with the housing ordinance as well. If we have to is not the right word to say it. If it's always important to get as much input as you can. And sometimes you get the gift of getting a chance to get input that you weren't planning on. And so this was an unplanned thing. But nonetheless, we had people show up who cared. I hope you learned more about the project. And you certainly got a better sense of some of the work that went into it and will continue to go into it. One of the challenges we always have is and it's true for you all and everybody here in different ways. You work really hard and a lot of people put work on into something, and then you present or share it with somebody to the community often who will never, and it's not designed this way, will never put that amount of time into it, but they've got care and they've got questions and they've got opinions about things. And so you always want to have the right amount of time to just keep folding. Why does the cooking analogy come up? Keep folding the batter, just keep asking. And by the layering of things and taking input like we did tonight, it makes things better. So sometimes the cause of that isn't always the greatest from my perspective, but you just take what you have to deal with and you deal with it. So I'm in support of the resolution personally, and I'm in support of the amendment that Tom has raised. So I'd like to just ask, before I ask for a motion, if Linda has anything else to say before we go to the next step. Okay. Okay. So hearing none, I would like to entertain a motion from a counselor if you want to Someone wants to start?
In the spirit of being descriptive, clear, and having a history of our decision, I would like to move forward with the motion to adopt a resolution by title only, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Manzanita, Oregon, authorizing a 10-foot traffic lane for a portion of the Classic Street Connection project to include the amended language we talked about added by Tom.
Do I have a second?
I'd like to second that.
Thank you,
I'd like to
Linda.
second that.
Loud and clear. We got you. Good. So all
Oh,
in
good.
favor? Aye.
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 An aye from you, Linda?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So passed unanimously. Yeah, good conversation. Thank you for the people who attended for that, and thank you for the questions. So we're going to move on to the next item now, which is, and I love hearing from Public Works. So we're going to invite Rick Remper, our Public Works Director, to come on up, and he's going to be giving us some updates on capital projects.
Russell.
He's also joined by Russell on Public Works staff. Come on up, Russell.
Thanks.
Lynn, is there anything you want to do by the way of introduction for this one?
You know, this is the main event tonight, so
Main event.
due to say that you're probably going to be blown away. Rick is here to talk through, I'm not going to steal thunder, but he's been doing a lot of work that's been going on. And so I've asked him to come highlight what's happening behind the scenes. I think folks may not always see some of the things that are happening, in particular as it relates to the water system. And so I've asked Rick to put together, in addition to all the other gazillion things he was doing, supporting me while I was out on vacation as well, of the work that has been completed. So I'm just going to hand it over to you, Ann, and wrap it up.
Thank you, Layla. For those of you that don't know me, Rick Remper, Public Works Director. I've been here for a little over a year. This is Russell Rancier, my Operations Manager. He's been here for a little over 6 months now. Reason we're here tonight is to give you a little update on CIP projects and some other projects we're working on. When I stepped into the director's role, one of the first things I did was kind of really dive in and look at areas where we can improve, modernize, and just be a more efficient department. So that being said, discussing our well site. This is kind of the beginning of our distribution system. It noticed right away that there was some areas of improvement by installing some new metering system for our disinfection of our drinking water. Also, this is our well site's located in a rural area. It's about 6 miles from city limits. Little to no cell service. It's the reason we wanted to install Starlink out there, some security, and remove a bunch of obsolete equipment. Just kind of cluttering up the place. So this was a Myox machine is what it's called. This is essentially made the disinfectant for the drinking water. Very obsolete. Was causing lots of overtime hours for the guys running out there trying to keep this thing running. Parts were no longer available for it, so it had been decommissioned. And that was the current state it was in when I took over as director. Not the best situation. We had staff basically manually mixing the chlorine batches. And so this was definitely an area I saw we needed to upgrade. And so by doing that, we installed these kind of this latest, greatest state-of-the-art thing, these metering pumps. You notice that there's two of them there. It's kind of a fail-safe. If one were to stop, the other one kicks on. They provide just a more consistent water quality, and just kind of eliminates any human error that could take place there. So we were super excited. I know the guys were really excited too when this went into effect, because they didn't have to come in so much on the weekends anymore. And so this is what it currently looks like. Like I said, there was a bunch of clutter in here, some old tanks and that big Miox machine you've seen. It's just kind of raised some safety concerns there. We added the Starlink in, kind of for two main reasons. Like I said earlier, there's no cell service out there. So when staff is out there, if they need to communicate with any of the other staff, it wasn't really available unless they drove a few miles down the road to get within cell service. So now they're able to at least text if they're, especially in the event of an emergency. And then we were able to add security system. Just with it being drinking water and being out in a rural area like it was, I felt this was very necessary. And also we were able to monitor our chlorine levels in our tank now 24/7. Before it was, well, I think it might be low, so we better drive out there and check on it. So there was lots of unnecessary trips out there. Now we just pull it up and see where we're at. So that was, we're excited about all the improvements we did there. The next one thing I want to talk about is one of our CIP projects for this fiscal year, is the replacement of the generator up at our booster station. Booster station is what provides water pressure for at least half the residents here. When the power goes out, water pressure would go away. The generator that was in place was it was apparent that there was some deferred maintenance there, and it was outdated, and it needed to be replaced. And this generator also was, if the power went out, staff had to go out there to get it started. It didn't just automatically turn on like the one here at City Hall. So that would cause a delay in water pressure for some of the residents. So here's kind of a before picture. There was actually two other generators that had been installed in the past. One you see there on the left, the residential style generator, had been installed some years ago and had failed. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of the other generator that was there. It was inside of a kind of a cargo trailer, and it parked right beside that. So basically I red tagged that. We moved in the generator you see to the right. That's our emergency mobile generator, power the booster station until we could get a generator replaced. Keep costs down on this project. Our public works crew for the concrete slab that the new generator would sit on. Here is our new generator. It just showed up about a week ago. We got it in place. It is the electricians still need to come out and do some wiring to get it operational, but it comes with an automatic transfer switch. So as soon as the power goes out, that thing kicks on. There's no delay in water pressure. So that's one of two projects up here at the pump station. So the next part, the next project we took on here was kind of upgrading our pump station itself. The siding, you can see that the siding was in need of replacement. All the exterior lights on this building were not functioning. There's a bunch of valves, water valves and water boxes out front of this thing that were at risk of being damaged. So we paved. Public Works crew did some paving around a lot of those valves to protect them. We also did some upgrades to the booster pump system itself, and added pressure tanks for basically to store more pressure to where our pumps aren't kicking on and off so frequently. So here's another picture of the outside. You can see this state it was in. And here's kind of the end result. Again, to keep costs down on this project, the Public Works crew did the siding with the hardy plank, sealed up the whole building, painted it, and then did the paving there, you see. Huge improvement there. The hope is now that building will last for at least another 10 years or so.
One question, is that the building where the KQMI transmit equipment is, or is it the one to the left?
The one to the left is the one with the radio equipment in it. The inside of the pump station is how it was when I started. The idea here is that the two pumps down on the kind of the bottom right there, one kicks on, builds up the set point of PSI that we're looking for, the water pressure, and then once it reaches that, it kicks off. The other one would kick on, and it would kind of maintain the water pressure essentially. As you can kind of see in this picture, there's wires hanging out of the one pump. It was disconnected in the system. I found it to be running on only one pump. So needless to say, there was some deferred maintenance here and some serious upgrades needed to happen. Here's some more pictures of some miscellaneous wiring in the building and whatnot, causing some safety concerns. This is the state it's in today. We added a smaller jockey pump that is ran off of a VFD. That's that green one to the left. It's designed, it's basically the workhorse. It's doing 99% of the supplying the water pressure. It fluctuates as water demand. So if all of a sudden everybody takes a shower, that thing's ramping up and it's just holding a steady PSI all the time. If everybody goes to bed, no water's being used, that thing slows down. It's just constantly holding that PSI. If for some reason that pump were to fail, the other two pumps are still in line. They would sense that there's low pressure. The one would kick on, and in the event of a big fire, where a lot of water is being flowed or a water main break or whatnot, essentially all three of them would kick on to continue to try to provide that water pressure. And then you'll see that the pressure tanks are added in as well. So if the big pumps are running, they won't have to kick on and off as much. The pressure will be held in those tanks. So again, this was another huge upgrade for us, and we were able to cut back on quite a few overtime hours. Okay. Talk about our city park. It's brought to my attention rather quickly that our park was in need of some maintenance. When I got out there to really inspect it, again, there was quite a bit of deferred maintenance. We ended up doing a big overhaul in the play structure. With all new play structures go in, everybody adds these engineered wood fibers, and that's kind of code these days. And there were some other issues. The volleyball net was getting ripped down. Some latches were broken, whatnot. Some painting and power washing needed to take place. So this was the state of the park when we got started. The play structure itself kind of had a rubber coating on it that had worn off down to the metal. A lot of the metal was rusting away, becoming kind of a safety concern. A lot of the paint on the equipment was faded. Some of the border was missing and damaged. And then you'll see along the backside there, all the brush, it was so overgrown that literally when the kids would swing on the swing set, they were almost touching the brush with their feet. So this is the park today. You can see we freshened up the paint, fixed the border, did a little landscaping. We were able to fill in some low areas that when it rained really hard, just it's like a big lake out there. So we filled those in, some topsoil, reseeded it. We added back the monkey bars. This thing's been completely refurbished, and we see lots of kids out there playing on it now. Feel way better about it. Here you can see, maybe. See the net is very old, just falling off the cable there. Our guys painted up the holes and put a new net on. And then, smaller items like latch on the tennis court, you can see we replaced that there. There's a handful of other things like I had talked about. We did a bunch of power washing out there on sidewalks. Russell and the team were up there on the roof of the covered picnic areas that were covered in moss, power washing all that off. So we really focused this last spring and summer on getting our park kind of updated. And going forward, we have a plan in place where we're going to be paying more attention to making sure we don't end up in the same situation again. On to the next thing, of GIS. So the very first thing when I got here, I was asking, where's the GIS? Because where I came from, that was a tool I used every single day. The city had it in place. It hadn't been utilized very well. Only a handful of assets had been marked. So this is something I was really excited about getting going and developing. I found a good platform to really user-friendly platform to go with, and it helps us track all of our assets. All of the staff are able to input work orders. And this tool also helps us during emergency responses, being able to find our valves and whatnot. And then it also we can definitely prioritize our maintenance. So this is kind of the menu. All of these are, you know, assets within the city. So I can, if I'm looking to see where the water main is located, I would just check the box, pop up on the map. I can zoom in. I can see which side of the road the water main is on. Here's kind of an example. These are all our fire hydrants. We're able to click on any one of these. It'll tell us exactly what model it is, you know, what size it is, the last time it's been flushed. We can set it up on a maintenance program to where it'll give us reminders that, hey, it's been 6 months since you flushed this. So we can keep that a good, you know, flush program going. You'll notice that all of them are different colored. That indicates the amount of flow that they have. It's kind of for the firefighters. If there was a big fire, they show up, they know right where to adjust their fire apparatus pumps to be able to fight the fire effectively. You'll also notice around town that we actually went out and painted a good majority of these before we ran out of weather, color coded them as well. Another example, these are all our water valves. This is a huge one for us because when we get that call where, hey, we got a water geyser over here, we need to get it shut down rapidly so we can prevent any property damage. A lot of times, if you don't have this, you get out there and you won't be able to find the valves. They'll be buried underneath the asphalt, underneath rock. And it's not always clear which valves go to what. With this, it's, you know, it's GPS. They're GPS located. You can zoom right in. You can find the valve quick, isolate the water leak, and then get to work preventing any property damage. And then one more example here. I've got these are all your water meters. These disappear quite often. I've found so to have them GPS located is a huge benefit. Whenever there's a service water leak and we need to shut the meter off to do any repairs, these things get buried underneath landscaping. I've seen it all since I've been here, but this is a huge help to be able to locate exactly where our water meters are at. And then I got one more example. We're starting to locate all of our street signs. We locate them. You can click on any one of these. It'll have a picture of the street sign, you know, when it was installed. This is a helpful tool for, say, you know, Sergeant Sims is out on patrol at night and he sees a sign that's blown over. He can log on, click on that sign. He can upload a picture of it, create a work order in a matter of a couple minutes, and it gets emailed to us. We see it the next morning. So very helpful tool. I just barely touched the surface of what this does. All of our equipment and vehicles are in it, and we're able to keep track of all of our maintenance and everything in there as well. So that is our GIS. Vehicle replacements. Yes, when I got here, all of the public works staff were driving in just regular pickup trucks, really no toolboxes or anything like that. Not very efficient. A lot of them had high miles. A couple of them needed quite a bit of maintenance. So I've been really pushing to upgrade our fleet into more usable vehicles. These, you can see they got the utility boxes on them. One to the right, we got approximately 6 months ago, right about the time Russell started. And then the one to the left is kind of our new flagship. That's the one we got this fiscal year. It's brand new, 2025 F-250 with the service box on it. So these trucks, they're loaded with tools. They've got everything they need when they show up on the job versus before they'd have to assess the situation, make unnecessary trips back and forth to the shop, getting the right tools they need. Now our trucks are stocked, ready to go. And there's still, we still have a couple in the fleet that I'd like to see get replaced in the future. Public Works Building. This is definitely another area of concern for me. There was some definite deferred maintenance here as well. The roof had been covered in moss. So we had the roof cleaned, the exterior, some of the boards on the exterior, had rotted and needed replacement. Had those replaced, had the exterior painted. We're in the process of remodeling the office area to add actual office spaces and break areas for staff. Here's the beginning stages of the painting. That's the color it used to be. The sign on it is getting replaced with a new sign that's going to replicate the same sign the city hall has outside. And this is I don't have any pictures of the roof before we had it cleaned and treated, unfortunately. But this is the roof had already been cleaned and treated here. This is the final product. Afterwards here, we have our sign is not installed yet. That is scheduled to be installed on the 12th of this month. And then we'll be in good shape now for years to come with the exterior. Onto the interior. This is a CIP project, remodel of the office area at Public Works. So here you can see there's kind of to the bottom right, there's a work area, kind of midway to the left, there's another workstation. Then you can see the enclosed break area. This project is also upgrading our restroom to an ADA compliant restroom. And then at the very top, that is the director's area with conference meeting room. So this is the state it was in before the project started, kind of an open floor plan, basically all in one. Director, break room, operations, public, everything right there. So you can see how it was really hard to conduct any kind of meetings or with staff, contractors, engineers. Lots of coming and going. And then you go through the, let me back up here just so you can be clear. To the left, there's a walkway that goes further back into this. To the right there where the explosives are, that's the bathroom. The back area there, they use as we're using it as a kind of a tool room, working bench. We were able to clean up a lot of clutter that was in our actual shop area and condense a lot of this out into the shop area, making room for the new Public Works Director office. So here's some of the construction started. That's framing of the break room. In the back wall, you can kind of see it's framed up. This is after sheetrock and texture. There, this is the front area. That's what it looks like as of about 3 hours ago. I took this picture. They just finished the floor today. We were able to use some of the reclaimed wood, and actually a lot of the supplies that are going into this project came from leftover supplies from City Hall project. We were able to keep some costs down there. So you might kind of recognize some of the reclaimed wood, the lights, some of the trim. And this is the new director's office. And again, about an hour ago or a couple hours ago. So this is in the finishing stages. We're scheduled to move in right after Thanksgiving. They're doing all the final touches now, and we're super excited about this. The entire department to be. I feel like this is we'll be able to function a lot better with this new remodel. The Classic Street, I believe Layla kind of touched on a bunch of points with Classic Street here. This is a project that everybody's been really excited about. So much work has gone into the planning phase of this, so it's really exciting to see it finally get started. One of the sections of the project has already been completed out on Nacarne City. There was a section of water line out there that was completed 2 to 3 weeks ago. And now the contractors moved into Classic Street as of Monday. You guys have seen the signs out, I'm sure. The one section that will be closed for some time is the section between Dorcas and Highlands. This project is we're upgrading our water main, doing improvements to our storm system. The road grade that you clearly see is failing is getting dug out and replaced, and the walkway added. Here you can see they got the road closed down and supplies are starting to show up. So again, this is exciting to see finally. And then last but not least, our Manzanita holiday lights were in some need of updating. I will. So we had a total of 13 of the snowflakes that would get installed. I think about half of them would stay lit throughout the season, due to the fact that the lights were really old. At some point, an extension cord kind of got spliced into them. It really rusted up and whatnot. So our public works crew has actually refurbished the ones that we did have, and we're adding an 11 additional snowflakes. So there should be a total of 24 snowflakes running all the way down Lanita, and there will also be, I think there's 5 or 6 of them out here on the first part of Manzanita Avenue. And then kind of the best part of this is we're adding the skylight you see there at the top that will cross Lanita just as you're entering into the downtown area. So it will look really similar to what's up there. I believe there's 4 snowflakes instead of 3.
We hold you to it.
Yeah. So this, in order to make this happen, we've had to coordinate with the Tillamook PUD, Bogue Electric. They've been stepping up and helping on make this happen. New power supplies had to be made. The PUD's assisting us with installing all this stuff. And then to the far left there, you see it's my main man Russell here. He's up there putting up these our new Christmas lights. All the same lights went on City Hall. You might have noticed when you came in. The PD and Public Works all have the same lights. These are permanent lights, so we don't have to do this every year. They're nice, good quality LED lights. We can control them from our phone. We can change the color for whatever holiday we're going through, or they can just be used like they are tonight as just illuminating the perimeter. So we're excited to get that going. Like Layla said, our tree lighting is December 5th, 4 to 6. Hope to see everybody there. So that is all I got. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. Do you have any questions from council for Rick or Russell?
I just want to thank you for that presentation. We all know you work hard. We've all been involved in a lot of these projects and have known about them, but to see the results and how much progress you've made is really impressive. So thank you very much for that update.
Appreciate it.
When I was doing some of my first learning on how to operate and run a warehouse, not called warehouses anymore, but they were back in the day. And I had a boss, and there were 4 words published everywhere, and I've never forgotten it: neat, clean, safe, and orderly. It's went through my mind like 6 times as you showed the from and to. So that's excellent. And we do believe in making investments in the workplace for the staff that work so hard. So I mean, we've got that here. I really like seeing what you've done with the Public Works Department. And I do think a person's work environment has a big impact on the pride they have in their job and how they conduct themselves on the job. So I'm glad to see the progress. I know this has been a big year for you and a big 6 months for you, Russell. So it's great to see this much work I love this stuff. So I've been really looking forward to seeing this, and I'm really glad to see all the progress. I also know, in an encouraging note for you for next year, this next year will be another big learning curve for you with the budget cycle. So you've had a good year of learning and working with Layla and staff and understanding kind of what it takes to get this stuff done on the ground. So I'm actually really looking forward to hearing from you representing the staff when we go through the next budget cycle, which will be inevitably just around the corner, which the budget cycle always is. So thanks a lot for your commitment and the results. And there's something in there for everyone. So I hear about the lights. We don't need more lights. We've got lights. Every time I turn the tap on, after I took my first tour of the water system, like 2 years ago plus. I mean, I think about that I think about it all the time when I turn the tap on. And so I think the visibility we give to people then the candid visibility of like what needed to be fixed and how you're doing it just helps build confidence in the system. And I appreciate that. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
The range of this meeting tonight. I'll speak for myself. Okay. So we've got a change up to the salary schedule that is tied to a position being created. Layla is going to talk that through and we will go forward on that.
Yeah. So one of the privileges of my job is being able to set the organizational structure for the organization. Council approves salaries and schedules. And so during the budget process, because many of you know, I had proposed the hiring of a project commander that's supposed to be Cody. For good reasons on his own. And so I've spent the last 6 months really just trucking forward, getting work done, and really getting this project completed. Now that we as a team have spent some time in this space, and I've had a little bit more time to reflect, I've changed my mind about how I want to approach the resources that we have allocated in the budget to support the administration. And that change of mind really comes from, I think, what is a necessity. And that is, to me, the key priority, the top priority for me is organizational structure and longevity for the organization. So I want the organization to live on and live long, long past all of us being here. One of the things that has come up for us time and time again in our audits and in other ways is this the fact that we're small and we cannot separate duties. And upon further reflection, I feel that we are capable of doing that, but that requires a little bit of sacrifice in some respects on my part in terms of getting project assistance. I think the timing is right. We wrapped up the City Hall project. With Rick's excellent help, we are getting Classic Street going. I feel like we're making great progress on the housing work and the ordinance amendments we're making in the comp plan. what I want to do is now support my team and upping our game in terms of financial stewardship of the city's resources. So it has long been my plan, and I have been both sort of mentoring, supporting, and guiding Nina Christ, who is our accounting manager, to put her into the position of becoming a finance director. And so that is one thing I'm asking for today. And I would like to make that, assuming council approves the salary schedule, official as of tomorrow. Nina has earned that title. She has grown exponentially over the last 4.5 years that I've been here. She has demonstrated, particularly last year with a clean audit, and we have another clean audit that I look forward to the auditor coming and sharing those findings with all of you. And she has demonstrated her ability to be a leader and to support and manage staff. And so I think it's high time that she moves into that role. What that will do is allow, that does create more responsibility for her. She becomes more engaged in terms of the policy making side of things, and as opposed to more of the sort of support work that she currently does with respect to things like accounts payable and payroll. So to support that, I would like to reinstate the position which the city formerly had, which Nina formerly held, of a finance and administrative assistant. So that person will report directly to Nina, will eventually take off of her plate the things that kind of give us that finding every year with respect to separation of duties. So payroll, accounts payable. We will also, my plan is to also shift the utility clerk to report directly to Nina. The primary duties of the utility clerk are related to water billing. The finance and administrative assistant position that I am asking for as well will or water billing clerk as well, so that we have redundancy built into our team, which we currently don't have. I always am reminded of the time when Nina went down with COVID and she was sick and had to log in and deal with payroll the week that she was suffering from COVID. And so it has long been my hope to get into a place where we have built in that resiliency and redundancy within the city for its long-term health. So the resources that I budgeted for the project manager position, I've had Nina run analysis for me, and we have sufficient funding allocated in those line items to support the addition of the administrative and finance assistant, and to promote Nina into the position of finance director. And so that's my logic and thinking. I think it will actually serve the city in a way that has been sort of something we've been reaching for, and I'm ready to grab onto it. I think Nina is more than capable and has proven herself time and again, and it would be my honor to be able to bestow this on her, and then put her in charge of hiring the finance and administrative specialists. Mm-hmm. So the resources are there in the budget. I have kept the project manager position in here, but we don't have the resources to hire that position, and that will be a conversation I think that we discuss at a later date once the council's gone through its strategic planning and we understand sort of what the needs are from a project management standpoint to bring on additional staff, whether that's through consultants or other ways in order to achieve the outcomes that you're looking for. I don't believe that this change will reduce, diminish, or encroach upon any of the goals that we've set for this year. In fact, I think it will actually better position us, and us being the city as a whole now and going into the future, in a way that really reflects kind of like it closes the loop on something that's been open for quite some time. And so I'm asking the council to approve this resolution that adds the finance director position. The pay scale is consistent with that of the public works director and the development services director, which is appropriate. And then the finance and administrative specialist position as well. That pay scale is consistent with the assistant city recorder and the short-term rental and program manager. And so I'm happy to take any questions. Councilors, questions?
Yeah.
Or accept kudos for Nina.
Well, I believe in some of the conversations that we had with this new structure, it's going to take a lot of double duties that you're currently pulling with budgets and there's finance things and hand those over to Nina so you can focus on other things.
Yeah, so I should talk about that. Once we have a finance and administrative assistant in place, and once Nina's able to delegate those responsibilities, her responsibilities with respect to budgeting, financial management, things that I actually do quite a lot of, I'll still be involved, but more at the level I should be. Whereas a finance director will be taking on those roles, and Nina is ready. She's got the skills and she's prepared to do that. So that will relieve me of some of the duties that do consume a great deal of time, particularly during the budget process. So it does relieve me of some and in time once those things are in place. So that's a great point. I'm sorry to clarify that, but it does provide me some relief, levels up the work that Nina's doing and allows her to get some of that stuff off her plate, and then builds redundancy within the organization, which creates resiliency and sustainability for us moving forward.
Anything else, Greg?
My only comment, Leila, is that I know from the beginning when we hired you, you expressed a real interest in being able to build a good staff and sustain a good staff and encourage them and compensate them fairly and hopefully bring about a longevity within the staff. And I it strikes me that in the time you've been here, you've done a lot of stuff like this. This might be on the higher end of things you've done, but you've done a lot of stuff. Brought on Max, you set up Sergeant Sims, you've done a bunch of stuff that is hard to appreciate comprehensively because it's spread out over several years. And so I don't know whether this is not the end of the process. I know it's an evolving process, but at some point I think it would be good for you to report in writing to the community what you've done. Much like Rick came in and showed us what he inherited, and that's not a criticism of his predecessor. It's just a statement of fact, what he inherited and what he's been able to level up to. And I think that's a big part of what you do on a daily basis is you manage the city's most valuable resources, which are its staff. And you not only manage them, but my sense is that you inspire them and you contribute to the sense that, this is a team that wants to stick around and be around for a while. I was going to ask Rick, I didn't want to put him on the spot, but one of the things that I always noticed as my first couple of years on council was that we had, the police force, those guys have been here for years. Everybody seems really happy. And the administrative side, there was some turnover, but not a lot. But Public Works had a lot of turnover. And I know there were a lot of reasons for that. And we don't need to go into those right now, but I'm hoping and sensing that that's settled down, Public Works. And it's settled down across the city staff. And, it's costly to have turnover, costly in a lot of different ways. So I do think that it would be healthy at some point, maybe State of the City address in 2026, just to sort of bring us up to speed on everything that's been going on for the 5 years or so you've been here in terms of building the staff, because I think it's been impressive. And, we only really talk about them one move at a time, but it's all part of a plan. I am pretty sure you're playing chess with all these pieces, and you don't make one move without thinking about another one down the road. So you ought to give us that full picture whenever you can.
I'd be glad to, and thank you.
Okay, that's a good plan. It's well thought out. You took me through it. Meeting prior, it addresses one of the fundamental financial concerns, which has to do with separation of duties. It gets redundancy, which is super important in a small staff, and really a challenge to kind of figure out the puzzle of that. So, and I like that you changed your mind. So that's good. I mean, things shift, and what we saw 2 years ago when we were having the conversation about the project manager, things have shifted, and the whole idea is you're never done with a design. You're just paying attention to it and making changes as need be. So I see that as a strength. So I'm ready to entertain a motion on this unless, Linda, do you have any comment you want to add?
No,
Okay.
I totally support the next step. Thank you.
Okay, so, would someone help me by making a motion on this?
I'd be happy to make a motion to approve a resolution by reading the title only. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Manzanita, Oregon, adopting a revised salary schedule to reflect the establishment of the finance director position and reestablishment of the finance and administrative specialist position. Congratulations, Mia.
Congratulations. It's not done yet.
Yeah.
Second,
I will say.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now I can.
Now.
Aye.
Congratulations. Hey, Lee.
Yeah. Great. Careful. Exactly. Okay. So we've got one last thing in terms of new business. I think it'll be relatively brief, but this is a master fee schedule update because we've introduced a width of pipe that we haven't had in our system before, and now we need to account for it.
We need to account for it. So we installed, we being Public Works, installed a 3-inch water meter. It's the first we've ever done. And this is for the Spruce Point project that is under construction or soon will be over off it's the affordable housing project over, it's just the area that annexed. So when this happened, Rick came to me and he's like, we don't have a rate for 3-inch water meter on our master fee schedule. So we went back through, and of course we did do an analysis. So the analysis that the water rates were based on included looking at 3, 4, and I think 6-inch meter rates. We just didn't include it because we didn't have any in the city. Now we do. So what I'm asking the city council to do is to approve a revised master fee schedule that includes this 3-inch rate. It uses the same methodology that was applied to establish residential and commercial inside and outside. So it comes from the exact same study. And then we use the exact same CPI index factor to adjust that rate to be consistent with the rates that we have this year. So the methodology is the same. It comes from the same report. What we're doing is just being thorough and making sure that it is added to the fee schedule so that when they start to pull water, we're able to charge them appropriately. And so what you see reflected, I wrote a staff report, which is in the packet, which provides more detail, but is essentially what I've just described. And so what I'm asking for tonight is for council to approve a resolution amending the master fee schedule to include a 3-inch water meter rate.
Do we have questions or comments?
Question. So this is just for the actual rate of the water consumption. This is not any change to the system development.
Yes, so this is exactly right. The system development charge is levied at the time that permits are pulled. This is actually the monthly rate that they pay for their service.
Thanks for.
Great. Any other questions,
No.
councilors? Okay, I think this one's pretty straightforward. You've just made an update in the master fee schedule, so that's great. May I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the amendment to the master fee schedule as proposed.
A second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Linda? Great, thank you.
Aye.
Okay, it matters. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so good work all the way around. I would like to just get some updates from counselors then. We'll just do a round the table. Tom, you want to start? Anything you want to report on?
Not really. I spent most of my time this month with council business having to do with things that happened in normal meetings. And other than that, I've been so busy with the museum that I've been otherwise occupied.
Okay. Thank you. Jerry?
Just that the application period for membership on the planning commission is closed, and we'll have interviews next week.
How many candidates do we have?
A single candidate.
A single highly qualified candidate? Okay, who might already have some experience?
By saying interviews. You can go.
I listen to the nouns, you know, okay, all right. Anything else? Great, thank you. Brad?
Just my normal updates on communication via our team mailbox and FAQs page. We had 242 visits to our page. We had 33 downloads of the documentation there. And as far as emails, we had one email regarding the housing ordinances that we've had in the last meetings. We did have a question about the trail master plan that was developed in 2021. Was there any progress or updates to that? We hope this is potentially in the comprehensive plan. So everyone, including the person that sent this email, is encouraged to sign up on our listserv. So you get emails, you know when meetings are, and to get input on the comprehensive plan. We had another question about dune grading and the concerns there. The city has and will continue to do a moratorium on that every 6 months. For the long term, it will be considered in the comprehensive plan for a permanent solution or decision. We had someone with concerns about vehicles on the beach. They saw vehicles that apparently were not state vehicles, emergency vehicles, or maintenance vehicles. So I told them they need to report those types of violations to non-emergency dispatch so that they can react to those. And the last ones we had were regarding the street widths that we talked about tonight. So that's the end of my report.
Great. I just have two things. One is I continue to meet pretty much monthly with the mayors and our local communities here. So basically, from here down to Bay City. So those are good. We connect with each other and understand what big projects are. We have things that we share across all of our communities in terms of common challenges and common things that we are all excited and proud about. So it's really good. I got in a microcell thunderstorm in Garibaldi today at our luncheon, which caused me to sit and chat with the mayor of Bay City for about a half an hour while I waited for it to pass over, which ended up being a good call. So there's some really good people serving in these offices up and down the coast. I think we can all be proud of that. The last thing I would say is last week, I was able to represent the city in this very room where we pulled all these chairs aside and had a big round table. And we actually, Manzanita hosted this and give a lot of credit to our council president, Linda Kozlowski, for making it happen. So we invited in a leader, usually just one, maybe two, of all the special districts that we're a part of. So the Health District, Nehalem Bay Fire and Rescue, that's the fire district, Nehalem Bay Wastewater District, School District, NCRD, thank you, the North Coast Recreation District. And also because of the current situation and the amount of change going on that the food bank is going through, we invited a representative from the food bank. So in this room, it was very informal in a way. We simply asked everybody to come and sit at the table all at once and just in a very brief way, 10 to 15 minutes max, share what's going on with your particular organizations. It was very unfortunate that the city of Nehalem and Wheeler weren't able to attend. And I'm briefing both those mayors on the meeting. And it was a good chance for people to connect. So there are some new people, some people who've been around a long time. I forgot, really important person, the Tillamook People Utilities District. So Todd, the head of that organization, came and was amazing. And it's just simply, the matter that we all the things that we do, which is you bring people together and people listen to each other and they think, well, I could help you with that. Or, gee, did you know this was available? And I guess a big hit was some things that the Tillamook PUD could offer that people were aware of that they like to do to help out nonprofits. And people met each other. So possibly the most important thing that happened in the room was what happened on the break, which is when I saw you and said, wow, I need to talk to you about this. And so no follow-ups, no big list of to-dos, just people who are doing really good, really important work in our communities, sitting together and sharing what they've got on their plate and getting to know each other better. So I'm happy we could do this in this room. Having this space makes it easier to host and invite people in to do that. And so people were appreciative and it was time well invested. These are all busy people, all of us, so it was time well invested. So yeah, I'm gonna close the meeting and I would just say I'm always proud of being in the city of Manzanita. And I'm just feeling that particularly tonight with everything that we accomplished and all the good discussion. So thank you, everyone. And I'm gonna call this meeting adjourned at 8:24.
Job.
And hopefully the internet and the power are all